Alright, hello everyone, I'm Natred. Welcome back to another Natred review. Had a break for a couple of days. I started a new schedule at my job, and I had some automotive issues that kept me up really late one night, so my sleep schedule's been insane. But basically means I'm getting a lot of sleep, so I've been recording a whole lot, but got that worked out, well rested. We're going to get back into some more fight reviews. So this is a video that I recorded last Saturday between Sal on the right and Hiimori on the left here with the board, and I'm interested to give it a look. This is the first time I remember actually watching Hiimori fight. We may have met sometime forever ago. You never quite know, but quick gear check. Sal here rocking her main as a two-stick. We have Hiimori here with a strap round, and looks like it might be a little bit of a shorter sword here. Just kind of want to note, and something that I thought when I originally watched this first of five, or first to 10. This is a first to 5, I believe. It is a first to 5. Is that Hiimori strikes me as a fighter I think I would personally have a really hard time fighting against. He doesn't have a lot of extra movement. Doesn't buy like fakes very well, and fakes and like feints are most of my fighting style. So nice to see some moving out of Sal. Nice to see maybe a little bit more extension of her guard than the last time we watched her fight. Pretty spin. Doesn't get tagged. So I really like what Hiimori's doing with his footwork here. There's not a lot to there's nothing really flashy happening, but where he's engaged in the positioning battle with Selena here the whole time without ever getting excited or loose, sloppy. Then just hangs out until he's able to land this neat little one shot. This looks like a product of Hiimori here really reading this big step to the left from Sal and timing it very well. Almost just hits elbow here, but comes through for the body. Hard to say what could have been done differently there reasonably from Sal. Like, we have this guard kind of curled back against the body, but even then, if we pushed it out further, but it's at the same height, this might still happen. I think right here what actually gets Sal killed at least, and not just losing the arm, is trying to strike when really this should be a time when you need to be sticking this block. And probably kind of got fooled by Hiimori with the way that he's moving. Back it up a good bit here. He's kind of like matching the pattern of her movement and then just stopping and swinging into her, letting her continue the arc on around, giving himself the little bit of extra speed and a little extra timing window to land that shot unexpectedly. Like stopping in place there and letting Sal continue her footwork around lets him almost act as if he got a free step in of range. Let me see if I can just really briefly explain this. I'm maybe overcomplicating this, but if you and somebody else are circling and kind of closing in on each other, you decide to stop and just let them continue the motion, then like you can turn in and like exploit that little bit of angle, a little bit of range you get on them right then. It's almost as if you had a really sick, aggressive step yourself. You just let your opponent take it, and you stand still. If we're looking to identify bad habits, I don't want to like over stress on this. I'm not super happy with how the Sal's right hand ends up after this little tick-tock. This is fine, but that right hand probably should never be curling all the way back. Yeah, I remember seeing this happen, and I promised, of course, to go frame by frame for this. Come to Amp Guard, they said. It'll be fun, they said. Get punched in the face, they didn't tell you about. Just a really unfortunate series of events We have Sal, like, triggering into what I think is a very smart shot here. You know, this shield, Hiimori shield's moving over to the right and out of the way, and you know this shot would make sense, except Himori's head is also moving in that direction, and thankfully Sal was wearing a glove.
Ouch.
Yep. And every time, squirrel.
Frame that.
Every time I see stuff like this happen, it makes me think, God, I'm glad I'm not doing the homegrown LARP that I came from with duct tape weapons and crap. Headshots still suck, but not as bad as they could.
So that's 2 Hiimori? Okay.
Also, big props to Hiimori for just having a really. This is something that's kind of weird to say, but something I noticed in a lot of proficient fighters. Sal has this too. The solid, just dead stare. He'll occasionally show a little bit of emotion, but I like this passive look. I thought this was really cool and clean. It's just the economy of motion. There's not a lot going on here that Hiimori does. It's just throw a straight like sideways chop, keep my shield in a good position, and just chop it again. If I had to give one critique here, could probably use a more significant second strike. Definitely a strike that's going to work in Amp Guard. Not going to have sufficient force there for anything else. But overall, I like the mechanics. You know, his shield comes up, but it also comes out a little bit to guard his hand while he throws his shot. And once he gets here, he's happy putting his shield up nice and high as soon as he gets disarmed to block this shot, because he can now punch block anything if he doesn't get disarmed. If he did. So, if I had to critique one thing on Hiimori there, I would definitely say try to maybe separate those shots in a pop, you know. You don't want your double taps to be like super tappy. Some big mungo like Chongo in the back there with inch-thick skin won't feel it. I'm kidding, I love Chongo. He's never slipped any shot that I know of. Purely joking. Here he comes, stupid sexy Chongo. Yeah, I don't think Sal has to trade here if her left hand just gets into motion. I think it's fine to start, like, the way that she starts this initiation with the left fake and then the right high cross, like, this is not ideal. I don't think you want to be high crossing with your right hand when you're flow fighting. I don't think you want to be crossing over. I think you want to keep your discipline split down the middle. But, you know, this is not the thing that gets her killed so much as, like, trying to hang out there with the arm does. Not killed, but trade. Maybe if that left hand had been more active, you throw the high cross, then come back, fake, high cross, retract, come back again with your initial shot. Also, I have to say, Hiimori is one of the more adept people at scoring kills with this style of fighting armed with a shield than many I've seen.
Who's that? Sal?
I kept thinking I should move around to the far side of him because unfortunately you can't really see Sal's win here, but it looks like she might actually hit over the top there, so maybe you can. Ah, yeah, his shield gets pinned out. Kind of opens the slot up on himself, trying to stab that dead leg.
Sal? Okay, so that's 3-1 Sal? 3-1 Hiimori.
Yeah, 3-1 Hiimori up. Yep. Fortunate there from Sal. Now, again, I don't like the positioning of this hand, but if your hand's going to be here, at least do sneaky stuff with it. You know, I've talked a lot about how there's very few things in foam fighting that I'm ever going to call strictly good, strictly bad. This low hand position from Sal Mechanically, is this bad? Sure. Strategically, though, if you're setting up for something like this and you have a way to pull it off and make it work, that's just a bait. That's just a bait. Yeah, really, girl, you got it. So this is something that I do want to talk about that I was thinking when I shot this was I don't understand. I understand that Sal just didn't think of it, but so if I had Hiimori in this spot, my first thought would be I'm going to use my dominant hand, my right hand, and just whack the crap out of this weapon, or make contact with it, and then like keep my arms stiff and push, and like pin this sword in, and then use this left hand, this free hand, to throw this shot. And I know that sounds like fine to say in retrospect when you're watching it in 3D, but I was thinking about this as I watched this fight. There's a pretty good period of time here where Sal just lets him kind of block strike, and loses the sword there, but still, like that shot to the sword is that I'm not sure if there was an intentional shot to the sword there. No, it wasn't. But like I would have intentionally hit that sword as hard as I could first out. Like try to knock it out of their hand, try to like make contact with it, pin it into the body. That's not a strong arm position there. And like, like even somebody who's not super strong can still step in and use their whole body to move a lever that's this long and this poorly gripped. This might just be a product of Sal being a native Amtgard fighter and not being used to a little bit of extra physicality. Who's to say? Yeah, good timing there from Hiimori. Yeah, I think it's just something that we were just seeing that Sal's like still dialing in a little bit is just having that guard that is both extended away from your chest and also like able to block. A lot of the times there's a lot of shots when you throw with a board that like if this is my board, this is my weapon, you drag the edge of your board with you. Kind of the same thing needs to happen whenever you're going to do funky reachy stuff with your forehand. If you're going to reach for something, this probably needs to come forward, your backhand needs to come forward and cover a little bit. Because then, even like, there's probably not a way for your backhand to ever have blocked this shot, but you're also would just be set up there to immediately get the kill instead of like your backhand being sucked into your chest and just not like there's because of how far this backhand is in Sal's guard. There is like not a moment where she's going to be fast enough to get this kill. If this hand is out here where this wrist is, then when Sal's wrist gets taken, if her backhand is right about here, we're easily within reach for shield arm to pick up the kill on the trade. It's interesting. I've had a chance to look at a lot of video of Sal fighting. It's always interesting to really see like a fighter's trends, habits, good and bad, come out. Nice protected lunge there from Hiimori. Yeah. Nice. Waits for the overcommitment. Sal throws low. Overthrows. Throws out a guard. Here comes Hiimori. Nice end with a little jab.
4-1, Hiimori.
That looks like 5-1 Hiimori there. Little flourish coming out. And, talking about how, in the beginning of the video, how tight of a fighter Hiimori is, how little, like, sloppy movement I saw. This is, this is a big sword motion that he makes, small hand motion. The tip of his sword describes a pretty big movement here, but compared to how little his hand moves, it's a very mechanically short and tight little motion. And Sal, yeah, gets stuck out of guard again, going for the twin heaven chop to the legs. And there may be a different world where I don't think you can do this on Amp Guard, but I think in maybe Bell or Dag, that double shot to the leg would have counted as a trade here for Sal. But yeah, So going back through real quick, I think that we've seen this from Sal many times so far. This problem with the guard staying too close. I think that would be my main takeaway from this video. Don't do that.